Hey there, CJ Math students. Welcome to class work homework S.9, converting between fractions, decimals, and percents. Watch this video if you were absent. So, spiral review, we've got these fractions right here. We got decimals. We want to convert them to either decimals or convert the decimals to fractions. So, for converting a fraction to a decimal, big thing you always want to do is try and simplify it right off the bat. So I can divide both those by 2, and then I get a decimal of 3/4. Now, hopefully, after all the quizzes, you have memorized what your fourths are. If you have not, then you're going to go ahead and always take the denominator and put that on the outside and divide it into the numerator. As soon as I do that, 4 obviously can't go into 3, so decimal 0. 4 can go into 37 times, that's 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. I put another 0 and bring it down because I had 2 left over. 4 goes into 25 times. And now that I have nothing left over, that's my answer. So 4 didn't go into 3, so 0.75. To convert a decimal to a fraction, all I'm going to do is identify what place value the last digit of the decimal is in. So this is in the 10th place. That's the first place value behind the decimal. Because that's in the 10th place, I'm literally just going to make this a fraction over 10. 10th place, 10. So 2 over 10. But then I got to simplify that. So divide both by 2, and I get my answer of 1/5. Again, if you've memorized your fifths, or you memorize that 0.2 was 1/5, good. But that's how you do it mathematically. And then the next one says convert 0.1 to a percent. So first thing we should do is maybe convert it to a fraction, right? This is in the 10th spot. So I can say 1 over 10. And then percent means per 100, right? So if percent means per 100, let's just make this fraction out of 100. So multiply it by 10 times 10. And we get our answer as 10 over 100, or 10 per 100, or 10%. Another way to think about it is if I have 0.1, I can literally just start from the decimal and move 2 times to the right, and empty space will get a 0. So 0.1 ends up still being 10% with that method as well. Okay. The next part, it says our discussion about college access. So if you recall, a long time ago in S.7, the world were 100 people. We were saying only 1 out of those 100 people would have access and be able to go to college. The 99 others would not. So let's talk about how it kind of relates to AP classes. An AP class stands for Advanced Placement Class. So being able to take a college class in high school and getting college credit for it. So if you take a look at this, we've got really 3 different graphs here. This first one says basically schools that serve high income or a low proportion of low income students, 73% of students are able to take AP classes. And in low income schools, only 59% are able to take AP classes. Write something you notice or think about that. Students whose parents graduated college, 42% are able to take AP classes. Students whose parents didn't graduate high school, only 26% are able to take AP classes. And then we got the breakdown by race. So 30% of Hispanics, 27% of blacks, 38% of whites, and 38% of Asian students are able to take basically college courses in high school. It's a good thing, right? Because if you take a college course in high school, then there's fewer courses that you actually have to take and pay for when it comes to college. So it's really usually a nice indicator of access to college. So let's think about this. It doesn't make sense really that if you exist in a high income or low income school that should determine whether or not you have the access to an AP class, nor should it depend on your race, or nor should it depend on if your parents even graduated college. It should depend simply on your ability to take that class. All right, so let's answer some questions related to those graphs. So if you attend a school serving a large share of low-income students, what percent will take college class in high school? Well, that's easy. Let's just read the graph. It says 59%, so 59% will. To figure out what percent won't, you're simply just going to go ahead and say, hey, percentages have to add up to 100%. So I'll just do 100 minus 59%, and I figure out that 41% won't be able to take it. Right? Number 5, it says, what fraction of students who have a parent with a high school diploma or less will not take a college class? So we're taking this high school diploma or less right there, 26%. So if 26% will, then we're simply doing 100 minus 26%. So that's 74% won't. As a fraction, though, that's 74 over 100. To simplify that, we divide both by 2, even numbers. Anything that ends in a 0 can be divided, or 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8 can be divided by 2. So I get 37 over 50. And finally, these last two, it says, what is the difference between the percent of white students who took a college class in high school and Hispanic students? So difference means subtract. I have white students at 38%, Hispanic students at 30%. So 38% minus 30 is equal to 8%. So that as a percent, 8%. As a decimal, that's 0.08, not 0.8. 0.8 would be 80, so 0.08. And as a fraction, that's 8 over 100, or we can divide both of those by 4, which gets us down to 2 over 25. Okay. And lastly, number 7, what is the difference between high-income and low-income students when it comes to taking college classes? So that's 73% minus 59%. So 73% minus 59% is equal to 14%. As a percent, that's 14%. As a decimal, that's easy. It's just 0.14. And as a fraction, that's 14 over 100. We can divide both of those by 2, and I get 7 over 50. Right? So that's it. Your homework is very straightforward. I've done one problem in each one. So like for here, number 8, you'll notice you have 4 problems to do with 5 possible letters to match up. That means one letter won't match up. But it's basically just saying take this percent and turn it into a fraction. So all these percents are fractions over 100. Simplify, and then you'll match it up with the correct fraction on the other side. In number 9, you're taking the fraction this time and just making a percent. So best way to do that is to make a base 10 fraction percent per 100. So like for instance in B, I took 7/20 and multiplied both by 5, got 35 over 100. So therefore that's why I matched it up with 35%. In D, to change a decimal to a percent, you can just start from the decimal and swoop 2 times left. So 0.44 is equal to 44%. And in 11, you do the opposite. So you take a percentage, start from the end of the percent, or if there's a decimal in the problem, you start from the decimal. So I can see you'll start from that decimal point right there. You swoop 2 times to the left. So 66% is equal to 0.66, right? So you'll take care of the rest. I'll help you out with like number 12. It says there were 6 girls and 18 boys in Mrs. Johnson's math class. Write the number of girls as a fraction to the number of boys, and then write it as a repeating decimal. So first of all, we're just trying to figure out girls to boys. It's always a nice thing to write out what you're actually trying to compare in the fraction. So we had 6 girls to 18 boys. I can simplify that before trying to do any crazy division. Divide both by 6. I get 1/3. Hopefully you've memorized what a third is. If you haven't, we'll go ahead and do the math here. So 3 into 1, 3 can't go into 1, so that goes in there 0 times. 3 can go into 10 3 times, that is 9 with 1 left over. And you bring on down another 0. 3 can go into 10 again 3 times, that's again 9 with 1 left over. Bring down another 0. 3 can go into 10 again 3 times, extend that out a little bit. You're just going to continue to get 3, so our answer is 0.333 repeated. So that's what you're doing. You're creating a fraction, and then almost every problem says write the fraction as a decimal. That's it.